Peace. No. Resistance, resistance, resistance. We can't have peace until they sign that treaty, people. That's just the way it works. So I'm not going to be asking for peace until they understand that we going to get peace. That's just it. And put my ad up real quick. Peace. This is Politics as Usual with your boy, Juice Warner, Old York Gritty. Don't forget, check out Street Skelzy, Knock 'em Out the Box, as well as Social Media Junkies. Some Junkies Apparel. Welcome to Grain Strains, and we're in the building, people. All right. Let me turn this headphones down here real quick so I don't have to hear it inside my ears. But I do like to make sure it's like a little bit there so I know that I'm at a certain level, you know? So we left off with cognitive behavior theory. So I'm going to take us back to that. I'm going to read that one more time, and then we can continue on. I'm also gonna put the timestamps in there. You know, go back in here and put this timestamp so that way it'll be much more easier for people to get to whatever section they want. I mean, I would hope you wouldn't avoid any of this and just go into it and you can read it yourself. And I hope you would explore even deeper. See, what I'm doing is showing you all of the connections. So for me, it's kind of different than just knowing the information. It's showing how they all work in conjunction to one another. You know what I mean? So Barber, Spanos, and Chavez, 1974, proposed a non-state cognitive behavioral theory of hypnosis similar to some respects of Sarban's social role-taking theory and building upon the early research of Barber. On this model, hypnosis is explained as an extension of ordinary psychological processes like imagination, relaxation, expectation, social compliance, etc. In particular, Barber argued that response to hypnotic suggestion was mediated by a positive cognitive set, consisting of positive expectations, attitudes, and motivations. Daniels Arzon subsequently coined the acronym TEAM to symbolize the subjective orientation of hypnosis in the terms of trust, expectation, attitude, and motivation. Barber et al. Noted that similar factors appeared to mediate the response both of hypnotism and the cognitive behavior theory, in particular systematic desensitization. Hence, research and clinical practice inspired by their interpretation has led to growing interest in relationship between hypnotherapy and cognitive behavioral therapy. All right. So then we're going to go into, oh, wait a minute. I got the wrong damn, hold on a minute here. Let me take this down for y'all. Let me put this over to change the heading here. Let me just add information theory for you. All right. Copy. All right. Put this here. Paste. All right. Information theory. Let me put this up in here. Just so you know, if anybody see it, they be wondering who the fuck, who the hell, why is the Slim Thug in this conversation? You know what I'm saying? So I just put all of this up here real quick. Copy. Go to the ticker and paste. All right. Okay. An approach loosely based on information theory uses a brain as computer model, an adaptive system feedback, increasing the signal to noise ratio, which may converge towards a steady state. Increasing the signal to noise ratio enables messages to be more clearly received. The hypnosis objective is to use techniques to reduce interference and increase the receptibility of specific messages, suggestions. Right? Now, signal to noise ratio is when they are giving you the message. Now, I showed you in TV and in radio. Well, I haven't get into the music part outside of talking about Nas, but when the message is being given, all other things are brought to a bare minimum, right? In order for you to receive the message clearly. So as you watching TV, right, and nothing else is playing, and at these points, the messages are given to you. You know, I showed you with Sopranos, right? I showed you the what you call it, the keystone, right? I showed you with the keystone and how this is, whether you want to use a clock or, you know, the little watch swinging back and forth, or whatever way that you want to understand hypnosis, that's the symbol, or, you know, the focal point where while this is there, you won't even be aware of it. But while this is there, messages are given. And it won't be a short thing. It could be the whole context all together, right? I just wanted to, you know, also, you know, I can bring it up for you if you want. Right? Signal to noise ratio is a measure used in science, in engineering. Hold on, let me bring this over for y'all over here. Right? Okay. Signal to noise ratio is measured and used in science, and I'm sorry, I'm looking over here at something real quick. Engineering that compares the levels of a desired signal to the level of background noise. You understand what I'm saying? So as you have, you know, like say when you're watching movies, right? And, you know, they have like the music, but it'd be just something settled or whatever. These things, in, you know, a lot of the interference will be cut short in order for the message to be received properly, right? So, you know, that's just for that, just so you can, you know, just have a good understanding of what some things are said. I like for people to have a full understanding. I don't want to just be reading it and nobody understands what's being said, right? Systems theory is, in this context, may be regarded as an extension of Braid's original conceptualization of hypnosis as involving the brain and nervous system generally. System theory considers the nervous system's organizations organizations into interacting subsystems. Hypnotic phenomena thus involve not only increased or decreased activity in particular subsystems, but also their interaction. A central phenomenon in this regard is of feedback loops, which suggest mechanisms of creating hypnotic phenomena. Right? Now, once again, you take the time, I want to take a little brief second to explain, the loop. Meaning that, we said it before, in suggestions, the repetitiveness is how you become attracted to it and fall into it due to the repetitiveness being said, because it becomes in your mind reality. It must be real because I am hearing it. Societies. There is a huge range of societies in England who train individuals in hypnosis. However, one of the longest standing organization is the British Society of Clinical and Academic Hypnosis. BSCAH. Its origins date back to 1952, when a group of dentists set up a British Society of Dental Hypnosis. Shortly after, a group of sympathetic medical pioneers merged with the fast evolving organization to form the Dental and Medical Society of Study of Hypnosis. And in 1968, after various statutory amendments had taken place, the British Society of Medical and Dental Hypnosis was formed. The society also had close links to the Royal Society of Medicine, and many of its members were involved in setting up the hypnosis section at this Center of Medical Research in London. And in 1978, under the presidency of David Waxman, the section of medical and dental hypnosis was formed. The second society, British Society of Experimental and Clinical Hypnosis, BSECH, was also set up a year before in 1977. And this consisted of psychologists, doctors, and dentists who were interested in hypnosis theory and practice. In 2007, the two societies merged to form the British Society of Clinical and Academic Hypnosis, BSCAH. This society only trains health professionals and is interested in further research into clinical hypnosis. All right. So the American Society of Clinical Hypnosis, ASCH, is unique among organizations for professionals using hypnosis because members must be licensed healthcare workers with graduate degrees. As an interdisciplinary organization, ASCH not only provides a classroom to teach professionals how to use hypnosis as a tool in their practice. It provides professionals with a community of experts from different disciplines. The ASCH mission statement is to provide and encourage education programs to further in every ethical way. All right, you see this right here? right? In every ethical way. Knowledge, understanding, and application of hypnosis in healthcare to encourage research and scientific publications in the field of hypnosis to promote further recognition and acceptance of hypnosis as an important tool in clinical health care and focus for scientific research. A corporate with other professional societies that shares mutual goals, ethic, and interest, right? And to provide professional communities for those clinicians and researchers who use hypnosis in their work. The ASCH also published the American Journal of Clinical Hypnosis. Right? So once again, just want to take a little time to show you how this system, right, that came out of the gutter, that's telling you that it's technically using you against you. And now there's communities set up to spread this or at least control it in there because they have a union that they can communicate in these different fields. So they know how to spread it. But they knew that anyway through the Masonic Lodge. Anyway, here we go. Right? So we're going into a new section. Right? Because on top, right, let me actually just put this here. All right. This is very important because now we getting towards the truth. Right? Let's paste this here. All right. Let me see how much I'm put up in here. All right, okay. Copy. Let me put this in my ticker real quick for y'all. All right. Paste. Okay. Bring that down. All right. Thomas Reed. See this guy right here? Pay attention. All right. Thomas Reed, Scottish Common Sense Realism, also known as the Scottish School of Common Sense, is a realist school of philosophy that originated in the idea of Scottish philosophy. Thomas Reed, Adam Ferguson, James Bettate, and Dugald Stewart. During the 18th century Scottish Enlightenment, we'll be getting into that. Reed emphasized man's innate ability to perceive common ideas and that this process is inherited and independent with judgment. Common sense, therefore, is the foundation of philosophical inquiry. Though best remembered for its opposition to the previous philosophy of David Hume, Scottish common sense philosophy is influential and evident in the works of Thomas Jefferson and the late 18th century American politics. Pardon me here. I'm going to grab something to drink real quick. I don't like having stuff up on my desk, so I don't it's a lot of electronics up here. All right. So, let me take a sip real quick. Red Cup Gang, we in the building. As you can see, I'm not smoking. I'm taking, I'm taking no less than 3 months hiatus, right? Because I want to complete the books that I got a poetry book that I'm about to release. And hold on, we're about to take a break in 18 seconds. And I also, have a few of these breaking down into different sections in the book form, which is going to be probably more easier to understand once I finish it up. Back after this break. I was gonna put a trigger up, but I'll do it later. Okay. I'll put my what's the name back up? Oh wait, where's my ads? All right. Okay. So it's about to get real, people. You're about to understand the Scottish Rite. Right? We enter in the Scottish School of Common Sense. Now, I told you this is about Freemasonry. This is, how the devil, operates. So we're into his workshop. Right? So this is where they have formulated these thoughts. Right? This approach to things. Right? So we got the history. Right? Then we got David Hume. A Scottish School of Common Sense was the Espelester Medical. let me put this up for y'all over here. I don't know what this is, so I ain't gonna lie to you. Right? Like epistemological philosophy that flourished in Scotland in the late 18th and early 19th century. Its roots can be found in response to the writing of such philosophers of John Locke, George Berkeley, and David Hume. It is in its most prominent members were Dongle, Stewart, Thomas Reid, and William Hamilton. Philosophical Scottish realism serves as a rebuttal to skepticism while keeping with the influential teachings of Isaac Newton and Francis Bacon. While largely understanding for many years the influence it had on philosophers elsewhere in Europe, not to mention in the United States, is of a considerable magnitude. You have to, right? Don't you get your permission in England to get your to open up a lodge and be recognized over here? These are the people that they contacting. I told you they use a style of speech within your regular dialogue to manipulate you. They have a system put up where they know what they're going to promote. They have the financiers, the Bohemian Grovers and all of that. They have these financiers who allow these other people to get paid for doing the same thing, putting out the promotion. So they'll put it in all of these areas. These people get paid, right? The people of the craft, and you get the message. You get put in this hypnotic state, right? One central concern of the school, wait, and let me just also see how it goes, right, into skepticism. So now remember, we have hypnotism and mesmerism, right? So now we have, common sense versus skepticism, but they always are parallel to each other to push the agenda, right? One central concern of the school was to defend common sense against philosophical paradox and skepticism, right? It argued that common sense beliefs govern the lives of those, even of those who avow non-common sensual beliefs, and that the matter of common sense are inherent to the acquisitions of knowledge, right? Pardon me there for that. Here it goes. The qualities of its works were not generally consistent. Edward S. Reed writes, whereas Thomas Reed wishes to use common sense to develop philosophical wisdom, much of this school simply wanted to use common sense to attack any form of intellectual change. Right? So you have a system that's always pushing each other. They're all working together. It's not like there's one side over the other. Teachings. The Scottish School of Common Sense was founded by Reed in opposition to Descartes. Let me pull this up for you real quick. Hold on. Let's see. This is the guy right here. All right. Okay. All right. Was a French philosopher, mathematician, and scientist, and lay Catholics who invented analytic geometry. Like, we'll be getting into him. He's not really that important, but he is. So, I just wanted to bring him up real quick. And, we won't be that much in him, but we will be addressing him. Right? So, theory of ideas. Right? But again, of sense experience led John Locke and David Hume to a skeptical philosophy that realists found absurd and contrary to common sense. Okay? Oh, wait, let me put this here. We're led by Hume to a skeptical philosophy, right? Hold on a minute here. Pardon me. Okay, I had to change the my settings. Okay. I just wanted to make sure I got that in red for you. All right. That realists found absurd and contrary to common sense experience. Thus, Hume, in his skeptical argument, would serve as a primary foil to the development of Reed's philosophy. Under Taltagill of Georgia tumble, Reed embraced the tenets of provisional nationalism in its four interconnecting tenets, using these as a basis for his refutation of the theory of ideas. Reed painstakingly developed his thesis, an inquiry into the human mind of the principles of common sense. Right, let me treatise, an inquiry into the human mind and the principles of common sense over the course of 40 years, often seeking the input of the contemporary philosopher within the Scottish Enlightenment, including Hume. Reed articulated the basic principle of common sense realism. All right, hold on a minute here. Let me change this to, I don't know, probably like some green, right? If there are certain principles, as I think there are, which the constitution of our nature leads us to believe, in which we are under a necessity to take for granted in the common concerns of life, without being able to give a reason for them. These are what we call the principles of common sense, and what is manifestly contrary to them is what we call absurd. Right now, I know I'm kind of messing up in this a bit, but this is actually very, very important. I need for everybody to look in this direction, because when we get into, this is the second part, right? When we get into the last part, all of this should make sense, and you will have your understanding of who and where the problem is coming from. So, right, it goes. Common sense realism is rooted in Aristotelian thought and advocates an empirical and scientific philosophy wherein trust of our senses and is implicated and necessary. The principles of common sense and fundamentals of our acclamations of knowledge of both, right? Metaphysical and physical constructs, right? And you know how you would hear in society, social construct. Oh, that's just a social construct. Understand where this is coming from, right? Understand. And scientific philosophy, wherein trust of our senses is implicit and necessary, right? The principles of common sense are fundamental to our acclamations of knowledge of both metaphysical and physical constructs. However, observation alone cannot account for all knowledge, and truth can be garnered by reflection, in Reed's own words. I mean, I got my rag, but it's green, so you won't. So you won't be seeing it. Sorry for that. I have a lot of green around. All right. It goes, I can likewise conceive an individual object that really exists, such as the St. Paul's Church in London. I have an idea of it. I conceive it. The immediate object of the conception is 400 miles distance, and I have no reason to think and act upon me or that I act on it. Essentially, to first principle facilities or mental powers perform the act of perception and conception. Right, this is where you find that at, right? The intellectual facilities support a wide variety of mental events. Acts of conceiving are set in many of them. Nicholas, right? These are the people. Examples of conception include judging. There is a door in front of me, imagining there is a door in front of me, or reasoning that all doors have handles. Right? It goes, example of conception. Right? Let's make this red. Right? It says, I'll make that up there. Examples of conceptions include judging. There is a door in front of me. Imagining there is a door in front of me, or reasoning that all doors have handles. Right? Faculties are all fallible, as there is evidence to our facilities and senses, but not the objective we conceive. But we trust them whether we choose to or not, since they always prevail in daily life. All Reid's philosophy depends on not fallacious faculties. Senses are the extension of the faculties. They produce conception qualities, like how a smell suggests the existence of an object. And grounds our beliefs. These are the two people again. Freedom is another natural conviction for faculties, which is preloaded and irresistible as first principles prove. Forgive me here. Faculties as the foundation of true philosophy, science, and particular life, and without them we shall lead ourselves to the culprit of skepticism and despair. All right, of skepticism and despair. The school taught that every person had ordinary experiences that provided intuitively certain assurances of the existence of the self, B, the existence of real objects that could be seen and felt, and C, certain first principles upon which sounds, morally and religiously beliefs could be established. Right? Or C, certain first principles upon which sound, mortality and religious beliefs could be established. These principles laid the foundation for Reid's influential theory of perception. In particular, philosophers of the Scottish school offered scientific explanations to historical events and advocates an unprejudicial and interior disciplinary approach to education, free from religious and patriotic bias. practice, philosophers of the Scottish school offered scientific explanations to historical events and advocated the unprejudiced and interdisciplinary approach to education, free from religious and patriotic biasness. So when you see this system, understand it's working against you, right around you. Theories of perception. All right. So let's go into, now we're still in School of Common Sense here, right? So don't think we left that. We're still in there. All right. Bring you back up. Let's go to the headline. All right. So then we got that. Let me put this on my ticker real quick. Let me just put this. I ain't gonna put the whole thing up there. All right. Okay. Thomas Reed and Dougald Stewart offered related theories and perceptions rooted in Scottish common sense realism. According to Nicholas Wolf, of Yale University, Reed's philosophy can be non-constitutional, reduced to four basic non-contentious. Let me take that from the top. Theories of perception, right? Thomas Reed and Dougald Stewart offered related theories and perceptions rooted in Scottish common sense realism. According to Nicholas of Yale University, Reed's philosophy can be non-constitutional, contentiously reduced to four basic precepts, right? One, the objects of acts of perceptions are external objects, that is, mind-dependent, spiritually located entities, right? The necessary and sufficient conditions for perceiving an external object is that the object cause in one a conception thereof, and an immediate, non-influential belief about it. We human beings are so made that in perception, the external object causes the conception of, and an immediate belief about itself, by ways of causing a sensation, which turns cause suggest the conception of immediate belief. We humans we human beings are so made that in perceptions, the external objects cause conception of, meaning that when you see something in the outside world, you form this idea about it, right? Of an immediate belief about. itself by way of causing a sensation, which turn causes, suggests the conception and immediate belief. All right. These sensations may cause and often does, in fact, cause the conception and belief without one's being sufficiently attentive to the sensation for a belief about it to be formed in one. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we was over here on the other screen. My fault. I wanted you to see that. All right. So we got this right here. Right. Sensations may cause or often does, in fact, cause the conception and belief without one's being sufficiently alternative to the sensation of the belief about it to be formed in one. Dougal Stewart's theory of perception acknowledges a great influence from Reid, whose philosophy and termed fundamental laws of beliefs. However, Stewart offered a more moderate approach to realism, and his theory of perception emphasizes the utility of the senses. Like, remember, like, I don't know if you ever been in one of these movie theaters where they would like as the movie is going, they need to let, fragrances out and spray you and all of that, as if you was a part of, the movie. So it's playing with all of your senses. Right? Influence. Common sense realism not only demonstrated Scottish thought in the 19th century, it had a major influence as well. In France, the United States, and other countries, Victor Cousin, 1792 to 1867, was the most important proponent in France. Reading thought was the orthodox philosophy of college and universities in the early 17th century and provided an intellectual bedrock for the age of enlightenment. Right? Then we got American Declaration of Independence. Common sense realism swept America intellectual circles in the 18th century. Reid's philosophy was previously perversive during the American Revolution and served as a stabilizing philosophical influence, hailed by some as the father of modern physiology. I don't know what that word is. Forget me. Benjamin Rush to go at the University of what? What does that say right there, people? University of Edinburgh. I'm gonna have to do this whole show over, to be honest with you. I think I've been messing up way too much. Imbued him with strong realist tendencies which influenced much of his scientific and political works, including his moral opposition to slavery. Evidence of the influence of Scottish common sense realism can readily be found in the philosophy of both Thomas Jefferson and John Adams. Adams compared the contribution of Dougal Stewart's favorable to works of Aristotle and Rene, Scotsmen and singers of the Declaration of Independence. And signer. Scotsman and signer of the Declaration of Independence. John Witherspoon presided over Princeton University. Students under his tutelage included 12 states governors, 55 delegates of the Constitutional Convention and future President James Madison. His education in the University of Edinburgh made him a strong proponent in the Scottish Enlightenment and realism. James McCouche, 1811 to 94, continued the influence of the Scottish realism in Princeton when he became president of the university in 1868, reviving its influence as a major stronghold of the movement. Nova Porter, 1811 through 92, taught common sense realism to generations of students. Wait, where is this at? Where is this at? Yale, right? You know, Skull and Bones. Right, you want to check and see when Skull and Bones came out? Yeah. Okay. Let me I'm gonna take a break real quick. Forgive me here. Let me see. Age of Enlightenment, how much more we got? We ain't really got that much more. All right. Okay. So I just keep going. It goes Christian fundamentalism. Scottish realism greatly influenced conservative religious thoughts and was strongest at Princeton seminars until the seminary moved in new directions after 1929. The Princeton theologian built their elaborate system on the basis of common sense realism, biblicalism, and Confucianism. Right? James McCoy was brought from Queen's College, Belfast, to Princeton College Chair of Moral Philosophy and Presidency, right? Because of his book, The Method of Divine Species, 1859. Several Princeton theologians followed McCoy to adopt a stance of evolution. I know it really, but I can't do it right now. It was his goal to develop Princeton as a Christian university in North America, as well as the forefront of intellectual seminar as the Presbyterian Church. The faculty of the college and seminar included both evolutionary thinking and non-evolutionary thinking. Much of evangelistic theology of the 21st century is based on the Princeton theology and thus reflecting common sense realism. Do we have to go into that one again for you? Huh? The faculty of the college and seminar included both evolutionary thinking and non-evolutionary thinking. Much of evangelistic theology of the 21st century is based on Princeton theologies and thus reflecting common sense realism. New Testament scholars Grant Osborne concluded that Scottish common sense realism influenced biblical hermeneutics and that the surface level understanding of scripture became popular and individualistic interpretations abandoned. Right? Now let me read that to you again. It goes, hold on. Pardon me here. right? It goes, New Testament scholar Grant Osborne concludes that Scottish common sense realism influenced biblical hermeneutics, whatever. I'm not even gonna do this to myself today. That the surface level understanding of scripture became popular and individualistic interpretations abandoned. So then it became, this is how you promote the Bible to them. A universal way of approaching this on us, right? The Age of Enlightenment, also known as the Enlightenment, was an intellectual and philosophical movement that dominated Europe in the 17th and 18th century, with global influence and effects. The Enlightenment included a range of ideas centered in the value of human happiness, the pursuit of knowledge obtained by means of reason, and evidence of the senses. The ideas such as liberty, progress, totalitarians, fraternity, constitutional government, and separation of church and state. Right? See right here? Wait, it goes. Separation of church and state. Right? Constitutional government and separation of church and state. Everything that you're seeing now, everything that you arguing in this country. The Enlightenment has its roots in a European intellectual and scholarly movement known as the Renaissance of humanism, right? We're gonna go into these. Like as I did with this right here, this whole section, I went back. So some of this we will be touching on. Don't stress it. If you want to do it with me, or you can just do it by yourself, doesn't really matter. And was also preceded by the scientific revolution and the works of Francis Bacon, among others. Some date the beginning of the Enlightenment back to the publication of Rene Descartes' Discourse of the Method in 1637, featuring his famous doctrine, whatever, I think, therefore I am. Others cite the publication of Isaac Newton, Principia, Mathematica, whatever, as the culmination of the scientific revolution and the beginning of the Enlightenment Enlightenment. European historians traditionally date the beginning with the death of Louis the 16th in France in 1715, and it ends in the 1789 outbreak of the French Revolution. Please pay attention. We will be getting into the French Revolution. Many historians now date the end of the Enlightenment as the state of at the start of this 19th century, with the latest proposed year being the death of Immanuel Kant in 1804. Philosophers and scientists of the period widely circulated their ideas through meetings in scientific academias, Masonic lodges. Right? Philosophers and scientists of the period widely circulated their ideas through meetings of scientific academians, Masonic lodges, literary saloons, coffee houses, and printed books and journals. and pamphlets, as you can see. The idea of enlightenment undermined the authority of the monarchy and the Catholic Church and paved the way to for a political revolution in the 18th and 19th century. We got to go back into that, people. This right here is why I keep telling you, don't think that none of this is connected. Philosophers and scientists of the period widely circulated their ideas through meetings of scientific academians, Masonic lodges, literary saloons, coffee houses, and in printed books, journals, and pamphlets. The idea of the Enlightenment undermined the authority of the monarchy and the Catholic Church and paved the way for the political revolutions in the 18th and 19th century. A variety of 19th century movements, including liberalism and communism and neoclassicism, trace their intellectual heritage to the Enlightenment. Right? Do you see it again? The idea of the Enlightenment undermined the authority of the monarch and the Catholic Church and paved the way for the political revolution in the 18th and 19th century. A variety of 19th century movements, including liberalism, communism, and neoclassicism, trace their intellectual heritage to the Enlightenment. Liberalism and communism and neoclassicism. In France, the central doctrines of the Enlightenment philosophy were individual liberties and religious tolerance. In opposition to an absolute monarchy and the fixed dogmas of the church. The Enlightenment was marked by the emphasis of the scientific method of reductionism, along with increasing questions of religious orthodoxies, right? Think about what is being said right here, man. Think about this, right? It goes, and fixed dogma of the church, right? The Enlightenment was marked by the emphasis of scientific methods and reduction, right? Along with an increased question of religious orthodoxy, right? The attitude captured by Immanuel Kant's essay answering the questions of what is enlightenment, where the phrase dare to know can be found. Right? Dare to know. Let's bold you. Right? Can be found. So we call this an end right on time. We got 2 minutes left before the break, and I'm up out of here. Right? So I want you to pay attention to Edinburgh. Pay attention to the Scottish Enlightenment, because now we are entering into the Scottish Rite. As a matter of fact, my next one will be, the next banner. Actually, I think I'm going to make a new banner, and on that one, I'm putting it, entering the Scottish Rite. Because now we are entering the Scottish Rite, right? And so we're going to understand. Well, by now you should understand that Freemasonry is, manipulation, right, with the approval of the government, because they all in on it, So to understand this is very important because we will be getting into the whole thing. So me myself, I'm ready to slide up out of here, to be honest with you. So I'm gonna just end it right here. Resistance, people, resistance. Is this an internet stream?